folks. Now, my father tells, parents always tells you their mistakes and they don't want the kids to repeat or attract knowledge or whatever. And when I look at one of the particular area is to start a family with the same age bracket with the love partner or whatever what you guys wanted to call that person, whether it's a marriage, whatever. And I guess that the strong notion of the same sex and the same age, right, or maybe 2 years or 3 years same age, like this age bracket. And my dad tells me about his experience, and the more I look back at it, I have to make it into a model that make everyone has a different learning curve or mistakes or experience, whatever. Like, I'm not here to say everything bad, but the things that need to expect if you're going to marry someone or be with someone roughly the same age as you or older than you, is the things that, one is the fact of that certain age bracket, there's a certain expectation or plan, or what's the friend circles or family circles are doing within that age bracket, right? I'm not here to say good or bad about it, but that's the way how it is, right? You have that, and also you have the expectation, right? So obviously during your close to mid-20s, you're still paying, or maybe you just finished university, or you just finished university and now you got HECS, right? Or student debt, right? Or even early 20s. And regardless how long you're going to pay off the debt, like if you're a reasonable citizen, maybe till, I'm maybe pushing for it if I say this, 30 or 30s or early 30s, you pay it off if you're bagging on it really hard. And if you're not paying it off, that's where it becomes a problematic, where interest is keep eating away every single day and month or year, right? So when you have like that, you already know that the life that we're gonna be in is like that, right? And obviously around 30s, people are jumping in whether to get married or holidays or whatever, they take a life a little bit serious. And doesn't matter if you're a female or male. A male, in the other hand, there's a lot ahead to go through, right? Because during the female time, around mid-20s or trying to pay it off, even late 20s or even early 30s, this is the stage where the highest fertile, right? Even before 30s, the highest fertility rate. Now, once you go over 30s, having a child or whatever, it decreases a lot, right? And obviously your early 20s is your prime of your fertile eggs, right? This is a biological thing. This is not like lefty or right wing or whatever. Of course, the educators will want you to freeze your eggs and want you to go through IVF, encourage you to delay your childbirth or delay your motherhood. And when you have like that, it becomes, when you hit like maybe your 30s, whatever, you can't find a right one because you work in a corporate or you're working or whatever, how you meet that person, whatever, right? But when you started to be parenthood and you're having a house and all these cost of living, everything hits you one go, and as well HECS and everything, I think the reality kicks in really, really hard. And having that, debt stress over your head, above your head, it becomes a problematic, right? Now, mum and dad has to working long hours and, working maybe more than 2-3 jobs or 4 jobs to stay afloat, whatever the answer is, right? Now, when you have like that, it becomes where the child's upbringing is mainly in institution. I only speak about the female that I just mentioned. Now let's talk about the male side. The male side is a problematic because the male has to go through, what is that word? The male has gone through, the male has to go through, after learning, right? and building like, the resume, and as well with the reference, and slowly building their career up, right? Generally speaking, when it comes to interview, obviously the female species are a lot more confident in a group interviews or whatever, blah blah blah. You guys can name it through. Where guys are trying to figure out the stages where how the reality kicks in and everything like that. And I don't believe in nowadays. It makes more sense, right? When you married within the same age, let's just say you're in your 30s, whatever, it is very difficult because your friend circles are going ahead, or they fear of missing out, or they have mummy daddies money to buy their first property or whatever, or spoil the kids, or to have an easy life in a marriage room. And that brings the fear of missing out for many people out there. Feel like they're missing out at all, they missed the boat. And when you have that notion, that fear of missing out, it becomes a real problematic. Not only just those, but only just to think about, where is this going to head to? And a man, if I have to be brutal honest about men, right? To be matured and smart and ready to be matured minded in the Western world, I believe it's between mid-30s to 40. And that's the age to start a family. And I know you're going to say, well, I'm not going to marry to an old ass. I totally understand what you're saying. But because a man has to go through a lot of big journey, right? Whether he has to go through apprenticeship. Now, when I mean by apprenticeship, it's not physically going to be apprenticeship in a trade. It can be. But there should be like mentors and apprenticeship and guidance, right? To guide that individual out to work, to be better, to improve, to hustle, to have a side hustle, how to win resumes, how to win, real, what is that word? Interview, how to win, how to be like fitting the square in the workplace, to reduce their chances of not being sacked. And apparently with the work and lefty culture, you have to be careful how to build your skills. This is a time where a man should be building their skills. All right. And I believe like that's the period of time that should be focused on skills, experience, and conquer real life, where textbooks is not being learnt, right? And I believe that is the right age to do that. And if you don't have that, then even if you start a family like me, I started the family in a very, very abnormal, structured way. I was actually a Centrelink. I was actually studying, and I met my partner, and things turned a big turn during the lockdown, and I started to open my eyes. But you need like traumatized event like that to change me. But if your man is like in the mid-30s to 40s, obviously the parents is going to kick them really hard. They don't want them to get in the house. Try to be adult, entering adulthood, because we're so fixated in the infantization. Now, for a woman to have childbearing or getting married, that is not up to me to say whatever the age is, because really is the ones that when a woman work, obviously a provider, whatever how it is, right? For the family, it's also to be strong that a man should be making the money to be stable and to be kind of like a bulletproof during the session of having a child, right? Or just having a child, and being one income earner. It is very difficult in today's world to sustain that lifestyle, to be parenthood. And obviously many of them who failed and go through divorce route. And this is, I can't blame the men, because it may be not enough experience. They find a high school sweetheart or university sweetheart or co-worker sweetheart, whatever you guys name it, right? Things make a huge turn. And what I remember from my dad, and I never take it serious, is that when you married, or when someone with the same age, or someone a bit older, 1 or 2 years, or around the age bracket, maybe 4 years, whatever, it becomes a power trip ego, because they know so much because of the age bracket, whatever. But if you don't experience life and you're expecting what your family and friends and whatever tell you, blah 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 blah, that's been outdated theory, because we live in 2024. We don't live in during what your friends and family, your family's era, right? Maybe they got locked up and started a family maybe 2010. Maybe that method would have worked, but now it has changed. It has shifted in this way that the cost of living is skyrocket. The money that you make is just enough to live, or maybe you have no savings. This is the generation that we're in right now. Though it's kind of like saying lost generation, because it is too costly. So even though when you're starting to buy a house or renting a house, it is so phenomenal difficult. You're forced upon to rent a house or buy a house, whatever the reason is. And when even you have money in your bank account, whatever, it's still hard for you to get a house, because the landlord's got to look at your rental history. If you don't have a rental history, nope, I'm not going to put him in. It's just because he has money, it doesn't mean anything. So what I'm trying to say here is that a man should go through all the trauma, and same as women, not saying that women shouldn't, but I believe that the man should go even more than a woman do, because of X, Y, and Z. Their friends and family tell them one thing, but they don't tell them the full journey, how to get there, right? A man should have to go through that full journey and conquer all these issues and problems, and to conquer the household, to be a family provider. And if the same age is going to disrupt you because they say, oh, this friend and that friend, blah blah blah, this family, this and that, they won't listen. It becomes stubborn, it becomes ego, you become looking like a useless. So for bulletproof, reducing the separation or divorce, not to marry within the same age. You should be having, whether it's 10 years gap or 8 years gap or whatever, how it is a better delayed than better, because a man's journey should be learning through. He has to go through all the dramas, issue and trauma and before to be a family man, because in life it's not easy, and when you go through that path, it makes it simple. And if you don't go through it, then obviously you're gonna get complaining and nagging and why you're not good, why you're not this, and you're not good at what is that word, problem solving or whatever. It becomes where it looks like you're a failure, and when you're failure to family, that's where you end up most likely to be like, I would say, like immature growth or not enough growth in experience to be a family man or ready to be family. It is very difficult nowadays.